Happy Sunday. If you would like to stand and join us in worship this morning, I'm going to start with a prayer and a blessing. This is from Hannah Carden. She's a pastor at Elston Avenue United Methodist Church. It's titled, "To the Moms Who Are." To the moms who are struggling, to those filled with incandescent joy, to the moms who are remembering children who have died and pregnancies that miscarried, to the moms who decided other parents were the best choice for their babies, to the moms who adopted those kids and loved them fiercely, to those experiencing frustration or desperation and infertility, to those who knew they never wanted kids and the ways they have contributed to our shared world, to those who mothered colleagues, mentees, neighborhood kids, and anyone who needed it, to those remembering moms no longer with us, to those moving forward from moms who did not show love or hurt those they should have cared for. Today is a day to honor the unyielding love and care for others we call motherhood, whether we have found it and in whatever ways we have found to cultivate it within ourselves. All the songs this morning are going to be related to mothers and family, so please join along. As I went down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who shall wear the starry crown? Good Lord, show me the way. Oh, sisters, let's go down, come on down. Oh, sisters, let's go down in the river to pray. As I went down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who shall wear the starry crown? Good Lord, show me the way. Oh, brothers, let's go down, come on down. Oh, brothers, let's go down in the river to pray. As I went down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who shall wear the starry crown? Good Lord, show me the way. Oh, mothers, let's go down, come on down. Oh, mothers, let's go down to the river to pray. As I went down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who shall wear the robe and crown? Good Lord, show me the way. Oh, fathers, let's go down, come on down. Oh, faithful, let's go down in the river to pray. So we went down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who shall wear the starry crown? Good Lord, show us the way. Good Lord, show us the way. Don't mind, we've already had technical difficulties this morning, but we appreciate you following along. This next one, it's called Brother, and we are changing the words a little bit, but because of CCLI reasons, we cannot change the lyrics on the screen for you to view. So if you want to sing Brother throughout, you can. We're going to sing the first time through Brother, then we're going to sing Sister, and towards the end, we're going to do Mother and Father. So follow along with our voices, but the words might be a little different on the screen.
When I
If our kiddos haven't left yet for godly play, this is the time to go. Much love to all those little kiddos. We're going to do one more song before we go into our 7 minutes of community time. There's coffee, and then there's saying hi to those you know, saying hi to those you may not have met yet. So this last song, it's called God Our Mother. It's a reminder of the multitude of qualities that God has. And so this also embraces God as mother. May you go and share the peace with each other over these next 7 minutes. May we remember our mothers, all the women that are mothers to us. You have 7 minutes.
Reading today from Psalm 68. I think it says 8 through 10 or something. So bear with me. Yes. Bless our God, O people. Give him a thunderous welcome. She's my BFF. Now, where was I? Over. I can't see. Hi, Kristen. I still can't see. There we go. Bless our God, O people. Give him a thunderous welcome. Didn't he set us the road to life? Didn't he keep us out of the ditch? He trained us first, passed us like silver through refining fires, brought us into hardscrabble country, pushed us to our very limit, road tested us inside and out, took us to hell and back. Finally, he brought us to this well-watered place. I'm bringing my prizes and presents to your house. I'm doing what I said I'd do. What I solemnly swore I'd do that day when I was in so much trouble, the choicest cuts of meat for the sacrificial meal. Even the fragrance of roasted lamb is like a meal, or make it an ox garnished with goat meat. All believers, come here and listen. Let me tell you what God did for me. I called out to him with my mouth. My tongue shaped the sounds of music. It had been cozy with evil. The Lord would never have listened, but he most surely did listen. He came on the double when he heard my prayer. Blessed be God. He didn't turn a deaf ear. He stayed with me, loyal his love. Oh, amen.
No one should have to follow Elmer on anything up there. How unfair is that? Okay. So let's see, where's Jacob? There he is. Come on up, Jacob. So this morning we're going to have a chance to get to know Jacob a little bit better, and so we're going to ask him some questions. But for those of you who woke up this morning and you felt kind of a disturbance in the force, and you're like, something is wrong. When I go to church today, something's going to be off. Brian's going to be up front holding a microphone, which means I'm going to have to talk to lots of people. And you're right, that is actually happening. So what we're going to do is, because here at Imago, we are very big on the idea of the priesthood of believers. And basically, that's a very old idea that means that there's not one person up front who spends all their time telling you what God thinks, how God views you, what the Bible means. We don't have one person up front doing that. We believe that all of us are a reflection of the image of God. All of us have the Holy Spirit working in us, and all of us have things to say to each other about who God is and how God relates to us. So we like to celebrate that in lots of ways. So when we do sermon discussion, that's one of the reasons that we do that. We don't think there's just one way to look at this passage, and we want to hear from lots of people. So the same thing with these questions today. We're going to ask Jacob a question, and he's going to answer. But then we're going to take some time for you to answer that same question to each other. So we're going to do, so if you don't know, I teach grade school, 3rd grade, so you're going to get a lot of that vibe today. So I'm going to make you do things that you maybe not like. But we're going to ask you to kind of scoot in closer together in groups of like 5 or 6. I know this is part that you're going to really hate, you might even get up and walk to the other side of the sanctuary and talk to somebody over there that you never sit by. I'm not the boss of you. I can't tell you what to do. I'm just suggesting. So you might do that. But just find a group of 5 or 6 people to gather around. And then I'm going to ask you to answer that same question, the one that Jacob answered. Talk to the people there and just hear the responses they have. And then, again, we're going to do that 4 or 5 times. So once you find your spot, you can just hang out there, and we'll kind of go through that way, if that makes sense. So, again, the reason that we do this is we do believe that God is showing up in all kinds of places. And so it was interesting this week, a couple of things pulled together for this. So last week, we were talking about in Philippians, the idea that we should be meditating on all things that are pure and lovely and beautiful. We talked about that and how having your mind set on those things makes a difference in you when you pay attention to those things. And then on Wednesday night in Eats, Drinks, and Orthodoxy, which we do once a month on Wednesdays. If you've never gone, I highly encourage it. We just go to and sit around and eat grubby pub food and have some drinks and talk, but it's amazing all the ways that God shows up in those conversations. So we were talking about a part of the Sermon on the Mount where Jesus says, "The eye is the lamp of your body. If your eyes are good, your whole body will be full of light. If your eyes are bad, your whole body will be full of darkness." And we were talking about that passage, and for a lot of us, it was taught to us in that garbage in, garbage out kind of way, like stay away from, don't look at bad stuff or you'll be bad, like that kind of idea. And then when we dug into some other translations, we found out that the good and bad, that's often translated, can also be other ways. It can be open and closed. And the lamp of your body can also be the windows of your body. So the idea that what you see is letting things into you. And one of them that was great said, if your eyes are open, I think it was the message, probably the message, but if your eyes are open, light can come into you. And if you look at the world squinty and suspicious, you don't get that light coming into you. So again, it's the idea that God shows up in so many places. And if you are splitting your life into, here's the God section of my life, and here's the secular section, or here's the approved part, and here's the unapproved part, you miss all the ways that God is working over here. So it was a really good discussion to help me just rethink that passage. And again, that's part of what we're going to talk about today. Some of the things we're going to do for our questions are, where has God shown up in other parts of your life? Not just at church, not just in the Bible, but where do you see God? Lots of places. So that's going to be kind of our theme for the questions that we do today too. Okay? So again, we're going to dive in. So if you're watching at home, I'm sorry, this is like the worst week to watch. Just go get some coffee or something. It'll be fine. But for people that are here, we just love that chance to be together as a church family and get a chance to talk together and just have those discussions and just see where God shows up in all those things that we say. So we're going to do this. So I'm going to let you do the moving part first so you're kind of settled in, and then we'll ask Jacob the first question, and you'll get a chance. So go ahead and just kind of shuffle around. Just find, you don't have to be a super big group, but just like, 5 or 6 or whatever's comfortable for you. Kind of settle around and just find a group that you would like to talk to. All right, thank you. That's great. Okay, so we're going to start with a super easy question, just to kind of get things going. So I'm throwing you a softball. And we'll have Jacob answer first, and then you guys can go. So in your groups, make sure everyone says their name, just in case you've got some new people in the group. So easy for Jacob. But then would you tell what are some of the different churches or denominations or spiritual groups that you have been a part of in your life? And the reason we're starting with that question, we have a class about once a year here called the Imago story, where we help new people kind of get to know us. And one of the first things they did when I first came to Imago is they asked us, what are some different churches that you've been a part of? In our group, we had like maybe 20 people, and there were about 35 different groups or denominations listed in there. It was really amazing. So it's interesting to see all the different places that we come from, because we bring different baggage, but also really good things from all the different groups that we've been a part of. So anyway, so that's going to be our first question. So we're going to have Jacob answer first, and then you guys can answer the same question with your group.
I've actually been a part of a lot of different denominations. My parents are Methodists, so I grew up kind of Methodist in the United Methodist Church. But we moved around. We lived overseas a lot. So I was a part of, during my childhood, different Methodists. And then we did give me a second. Okay, so when I was in middle school, early middle school, late grade school, we went to a missionary school in Singapore. So a lot of people who were doing missionary work in Indonesia and in Korea, I believe, were the two places that I knew. And they were very evangelical, kind of a little bit fundamentalist, and so that was a kind of a background I had there. When I was in high school, I went to a Catholic school, so I kind of got to experience that and learned a lot about Catholicism, and I took all the different classes there, Christology, ecclesiology, and I actually really enjoyed approaching my faith from a more intellectual standpoint, even though I wouldn't call myself a Catholic today by any stretch of the imagination. When I went to college, I went to Greenville University, and it's a Free Methodist college, which I found to be a really interesting denomination. It had a lot of the same views and beliefs as United Methodist, but it was a lot more charismatic. So it was really common to do prayer circles during church, and it was not uncommon for a church service to go 2-3 hours just talking and praying, and when things happen, they just kind of happen, and you rolled with it. And it was a lot of fun to learn how to be a worship leader in that kind of environment. And then for the last 4 years, I've been working at an American Baptist church, which is, I don't know if you know the difference between American Baptist and Southern Baptist, but the way it was taught to me, communicated to me, is that Southern Baptists go into the liquor store on the back door, and American Baptists go in the front door. So that's a good one. So that's kind of my background there.
Great, thanks. All right, so turn to your group and answer the same question, please. We'll take about one more minute and then come back, so finish up. right, we're going to move on to our next question. So the best part is watching all of you talk to each other. The worst part is having to make you stop talking and move on to the next question. That's the worst part. So our next question, again, kind of going along with that idea of God showing up lots of places, is so for Jacob, what is a book or a movie or any kind of media that changed the way that you thought about or looked at God?
So, non-serious answer first.
Excellent.
I used to, so when I was in high school, I had a friend, and we used to hang out all the time at his place, and we played music together. And we would do like weekends where we'd spend 48 hours just doing music, and then we'd eat the little powdered donuts and drink energy drinks and stay up all night watching like cartoons. And one of the cartoons that came on, and it was like towards the end, like 2, 3 in the morning, I was kind of half asleep, and it was King of the Hill. And I'd never seen a King of the Hill in my life. It did not look interesting to me at all. And there was one episode where, I believe it's Bobby's the little kid, right? Mm-hmm. He goes to, he begins to get into like some alt culture stuff, and is saying stuff. And anyway, Dad gets upset, sends him to church, to a youth group. And at the youth group, they really embrace the what's it called? The youth culture stuff, where they're like going to tours and listening to like the same kind of music that he was listening to prior, and doing skate stuff, and it was all good time for him. And then the dad eventually pulls him out, and at the end of the episode, he shows him a box of stuff that the dad had, and it was like a leather jacket and a Camaro, right? And Bobby was like, well, that stuff all looks dumb and goofy now. And he's like, yeah, I just want to make sure that Jesus doesn't end up in a box in your garage someday with all the other goofy stuff you were into when you were a kid. And I look over at my friend Andrew, and he's like, I think passed out at this point. And I'm like, dude, I think King of the Hill just deepened my faith. So, another one that really got to me recently was, what was the one about the end of the world, where they're ending the world? Not that one. The one with there's a meteor coming, and there's scientists that don't look up. And towards the end of the movie, the younger female scientist has kind of like moved away because the guy, Leonardo DiCaprio, right? That was who he had kind of sold himself out, and she was kind of with, I think, her parents, right? Was where it was, and there was a teenager there, right? And you learn towards the end there that he was like he grew up with like evangelical parents, and he was really distant from them, right? And you learn that he actually has like a faith of his own, and he talks about it a little bit, and at the end of the movie he actually prays over them. And it was a pretty good moment, I think. And I've been to the church that's been kind of like iffy there, and I just get really, it's easy to get jaded and stuff, and it's good to know that like God grows and thrives even in like kind of dark corners when people try to corner him in and block him in. So that's a more serious one, I think, for me personally.
Well, those are both really good. So same thing, turn with your group and then share some of those examples from your life. All right, we'll take about one more minute, and then we'll come back together. All right, we're ready to give Jacob another question. All right, so Jacob, who is a person that has an impact on you spiritually, and how did they affect you?
I think the first person that really comes to mind for me was my first formal youth pastor. Well, he wouldn't want to be called a youth pastor. He wanted to be called a youth director. Sorry. It was Phil George. I think some of you might know him. I think he goes to the Episcopal Church down the street a little bit. But I think he's the one that really helped me to develop the kind of faith I have today that's open to questioning and exploring and trying to understand things on a deeper level, not just what is told to me at face value. And I think that's been really important to me, and that the foundation that he laid has been how I've been able to be the Christian I am today. So I think him. Another person I think that's really affected me long term is I had a professor. His name was Dr. Ben Wayman, and he. I think that he was just a person who spoke hope into every situation when you talk with him. Like, he was my professor during the 2016 election, and things were looking really bleak politically, and there was a lot of scary stuff starting to happen. And I think that he was the type of person that you could talk with him about anything, and you'd still feel better about it leaving. And I think that to this day, I wish, I definitely don't, but I wish I embodied the type of hope that he had, and the way that he preached the gospel and made everything make sense was just very profound and special. So.
That's great. Thanks. Okay, excellent. So again, with your groups, that's your next question. Someone that has had impact on you spiritually. right, again, we'll take about one more minute and then come back together. All right, we'll have Jacob come back up for one more question. So I think I mentioned I teach elementary school, and when you're a teacher, you don't turn that off very easily. So one of the things we talk about in third grade a lot is how to be a good listener, and we talk about things like, look at the person who's talking, lean in, nod. And I can't believe you're telling someone to say, I like the way that Elmer's nodding along when he listens. Jeff did such a good job leaning that way. I can really tell that, Renee is listening carefully. You guys are doing such a good job. So I should, I know. So yeah, gold scars to everyone. But again, I know I've said this before, but I love that we are actually the kind of church that will even do this. So I love seeing how engaged you are and how well you're listening to each other. That's a beautiful thing. So thank you for being that kind of place. So, okay, so our last question for this morning is, what is a view of God that has changed for you over time?
So I think you actually sent me one of that questions you sent. I've actually spent a lot of time thinking about that because that's not an easy question to answer on the spot. And I've been thinking about what has really changed, formatively in the way that I view God. Really, before I started doing ministry professionally, and as I was still learning and growing. And I think one thing that really changed for me that was really important was this idea. I think when I went to college to be a worship leader, right? It was like a divine calling, an inspiration. I was going to be Jesus' special little baby boy, and I was going to make the world a better place by playing guitar, right? As an 18-year-old, that's not crazy to think, I guess. But I think one thing that really changed for me is rather than trying to see myself like Paul, right, or Peter, see myself as like a hero, right, or dare I say like a savior, because I think that's kind of the complex I had developed a little bit. Is the idea that I'm not instrumental in the way things are, that God's plans will happen the way that God intends their plans to happen, and I can choose to accept that, and if I choose to accept that and be a part of it, I get to experience it and see it unfold in front of me. And I think that has changed a lot of the ways that I view myself. Rather than getting insecure or scared when other people are better than me at something, or feeling like I'm inadequate for the job that I'm supposed to be doing, learning that I'm not here because I'm special, that God called me to be this special hero to save the world, but I'm here because I get to be a part of something bigger than myself. I mean, I know maybe that's not so much a change in the way that I view God, more than a change in the way that I view myself. But I think that's the biggest thing that's changed being a part of ministry, is being being a team player, or getting to experience God's work rather than trying to influence it myself. So yeah.
That's great. All right, so I know you guys didn't get any advance warning. Sorry, you're on the spot. But yeah, so this will be our last time to share together. So talk with your groups. What would you say about that? How has your view of God changed over time? All right, we'll take about one more minute, and then we'll wrap up together. All right. Well, again, thank you very much for sharing with your groups. I wish we should actually take the cameras and actually put one up here and have it just be panning across while you're doing this, because I wish you could see the way that you're leaning into each other and listening to each other. It really is a beautiful thing. So it's very encouraging for me, and I loved seeing that. This week, as you go forward, I hope that you will continue to let the Spirit percolate in you. Think about the things that people said. I'm going to be honestly thinking about King of the Hill all week now. From that, honestly, it's such a good example of that. I will be in my head all week. But that's the way the Spirit works, right? We hear things like that, and then they stay with us. And there's just that continuous nudging of bringing us closer to God, help us understand that. That's one of the things that we do for each other. So thank you for doing that for each other today. And I hope you've also seen that Jacob is a great guy to talk to more. So I hope that you'll have a chance to go get coffee with him and just hear more about him. But I really appreciated the things that he shared. It helps me feel like I know him better and makes me even more excited that he's part of our Imago family now. So thank you for that. So again, as you go forward, we're going to have one more song, I think, right? So, and we'll finish that together. But again, as you go forward, again, I just encourage you to let those things sit with you and let the Spirit do what the Spirit's going to do with all the things that you heard and that were shared today. So thank you.
We're going to sing For the Beauty of the Earth, so hopefully a well-known hymn that everyone can sing along with, just as a reminder that everything is beautiful around us. Remember or think about those things that are most beautiful to you this morning. This was such a joyful time, I think, this morning to be able to share with one another. For the beauty of the earth, for the glory of the skies, for the
and Lisa for leading us in worship. Thank you, Jacob and Brian, for leading the discussion. That was wonderful. Just a couple of announcements I want to remind us of. We do have some T-shirts. If you want to grab one, let us know. We'll try to make an order for some other sizes, hopefully sometime this week or the next. We do have adult Sunday school today, so please stay and head out to the fellowship hall to be a part of that. And let's see. Oh, youth retreat on, this is why I brought my calendar up here. July 22nd and 23rd. I will try to send out an email this week to all of you that have the kids that fall into this age group, age 6th grade. Is that right? Okay, 6th grade and up. I'll send an email this week to try to solidify some more of those plans with you guys. And I would like you to, if you would be so willing, would you send me any prayer requests you might have this week? Facebook Messenger, email, text, call me, whatever. Let me know how I can pray for you this week. It's my honor to do so. For our benediction, Sarah shared this with me this morning. This is from our friend Heather Robertson. Happy day of the embodiment of the divine feminine, which has most often been displayed in the concept of motherhood. May we gloriously celebrate the side of God we have most often been asked to deny, and see in every person we meet the divinity of care, comfort, compassion, nourishment, healing, and embrace. May we lay down the shame and guilt so often associated with motherhood and trust in our own divine mother to fill the gaps of whatever this life has stolen from our children, both the ones we contributed to creating and the collective children of this moment in time. And may we take up our mama bear stances to fight for liberation and freedom. You're dismissed.